internet safety, if an emergency, call 911. Law enforcement doesn't always understand the victim's side until they've actually become the victim. And I'm going to tell you why I know this. Because there are police officers that have gotten in trouble, and there are dirty, bad cops. And there are dirty, bad cops, and I'm going to tell you how we got to this story. Now, if you'd like to support our project, I also am a survivor, rape survivor from Edinburgh University. And as a member of a very important group, we are in it to end human trafficking. The story is called Count One, and it's about a story about a man who was abused and gets to go back to college and graduate. Thank you to the brave men and women that serve among us and are not with us today. Keep America working. The story on military sexual trauma and trauma goes back years and years before we were even born. So when survivors speak out on domestic violence, it's very common that families oftentimes become victims of abuse associated with domestic violence cases and military sexual trauma. So there are very interesting ties to it. If you look at the statistics, having a sexual abuse safety plan, talking to people, going to group, we're also going to comment on some things. We're working on something called Skipper, and the story about human sex trafficking and surviving it and meeting with us. There's a great book called Dead Air by Bob Larson. I read this book in 1990. We want to follow up with a story called Dead Ringer, and about the Illuminati and how Fritz Springmeier, who passed away not that long ago, and what happened to me when I went down to Comet Ping Pong about 3 years ago. And when I tell you about the balancing act of privacy and knowledge, you need to know what you need to know about treating adult survivor of child sexual abuse. It's a very important part of the recovery. By bringing children home, I call her Macy, because by the time I go down there, I realized it was sextortion, and there was very awkward things going on with the gas station, garbage cans, everything. So it's better to know what to do, reaching out for Mad and Sad. That's what really brought us to this discussion. Now, I want to go into something personal. I had been a victim of abuse, and I don't like to exploit this too much, but I just want to tell you, you got to get inside the criminal mind, and you got to know a little bit more about what you're dealing with. Anytime a victim is speaking out, they're always going to be in a heightened alert. They're always going to be more hypersensitive and maybe even hypervigilant. Call for assistance on topics regarding child abuse. If you don't know who to turn to, I would recommend going to family resource sources in Pittsburgh and downtown Pittsburgh. This is what brought us to Rochester, Pennsylvania. And there was a lot of backlash for us talking about this. But I'm going to be honest. This is something that I think most people need to start not being so ignorant around the people that are around us. There's a lot of ignorant people that are abusing people right as we speak. And I'm going to tell you right now, law enforcement has to take an active role in stepping up and helping victims and families to do something that would be radical. So you clearly know there's a difference between victims who've been abused and victims that are getting help. Clearly, we're not getting the help we need. Clearly, there's a misunderstanding when it comes to victims of trafficking. This is the one critical thing. You do not have time to waste. Make sure you have a recent photo or picture of your loved ones and members of your family, because of the level of human trafficking we've been dealing with in Butler County alone, with the level of drugs that are now introduced to your children at a really young age. It's hard to really process children who have access to crack cocaine, to ecstasy, to the other street drugs. Now, this happened to me, and it's totally by accident. I'm sharing this with you. I'm going to go into it. In 2011, I was living in Hollister, Missouri, and I became a victim of really something I was not expecting. I opened up my door that day, and I lived at 121 2nd Street in Hollister, and this lady was using 2 children to basically steal off of me. And I just saw the video of this also with another person that I talked to down here, George's Variety Store, same thing. I mean, how children are often taught how to steal. And I want you to be aware of it. Now, for the other things we're going to talk about privacy and knowledge, you can discuss it at your own free will. I just personally do not want to get involved with somebody who's not going to help me. Like we're reaching out and we're asking for help because we know how critical it is to get this serious help we need when we have families members who have gone missing or even abused. So we need the cooperation of members of this community and members of the people around us to reach out to the community about our missing persons ordeal. First, I want to talk about exploitation and abuse and what I witnessed. And I've been witnessing this all my life. And I'm confronting you. And I'm telling you, stop it. I'm confronting you. You're not going to abuse me and harm me this way anymore. See, I can have... No, I'm confronting you. That's enough. I said enough is enough. And since 2009, I've been working actively with Jessica's Law, and I become a representative of Jessica's Law. So we have an active role in discussing cases at WDRB Media. You can also find out more information about how to help do a podcast and assist us there.